You're listening to UCW Radio.
In your face.
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
You know what I mean?
Money to be made in a place like this.
Money never sleeps, pal.
You're crazy. Don't run when you lose. Don't whine when it hurts.
You know what it takes to sell real estate? It takes brass.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
All right, welcome to Money Never Sleeps. This is the show where we talk about anything and everything that impacts the flow of money from around the corner to around the world. And I told you guys we are going to be doing a lot of great things on Money Never Sleeps. You've been listening to the radio show and the podcast for the past decade. We are introducing video. We're going to be bringing on a lot of great guests, talking about a lot of great things. Today, we are going to be talking about digital payments, mobile payments. You know, it's an exploding business. The pandemic forced everything to go quicker. Okay, we are in a mobile society. We are in an environment where a lot of people are going online. They're going to Amazon, Walmart. They're going to Alibaba. They're buying things online, and they're utilizing their computers. They're utilizing their mobile. This is what they're doing. To date, this year, it's already estimated that you'll have over 1 billion mobile transactions. That's huge. That is huge. You're talking, they're estimating that we're going to be probably at about $2.4 trillion US dollars worth of transactions within the next 3 years. It's amazing, and there's a lot of opportunity out there, and the fintech and the digital payment processing and this whole industry is somewhat fragmented. People think that, you know, fintech is you have to have everything. You have to be the bank, you have to be this, you have to be that. That's not true. You have your traditional brick and mortar banks. They're doing their thing. They're embracing blockchain. They're embracing fintech. They're embracing digital because they have to. They're embracing the security that goes in there. You have a lot of cloud things that are happening. So cloud security, they have to embrace that. Okay, so they're breaking down things and they're implementing it into their business model. And that's to help the consumer. Okay, now today I'm bringing on a guest, and he is the CEO and founder of Bizmoni. He's Joe Graca. And Joe, come on the show and tell us what you're doing.
Hi, Louis. Thank you so much for being here today. I really enjoy it. And yes, I am the initial founder of Bizmoni. I've been around for quite a while. So initially, I started like a entrepreneur, very young, with 16 years of age. And after one business, I started the second one, and so on. Became eventually a full-time business angel. Eventually, I got into becoming a share position into a Business Angels Club, and from there, later on, I became a VC. The truth is that I enjoy much more being a serial entrepreneur. I think maybe it's in the blood somehow. So I decided to go back and start building brands, which is the area that I love most. In the last 20 years, I've been working essentially on helping micro and small businesses in the fintech area. We have
just for our viewers to know, see, Joe is in the middle of this major construction project, and he's taking time to come on the show today. So that's the noise you hear in the background. We can't control it. We're trying our best. And so you listeners that are listening on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, and all over the place, you know, just bear with us. You know, Joe's just taking time in the middle of this massive construction project to be with us. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you. And so what happened eventually is that I got back to being an entrepreneur in the fintech area, as I was explaining. And one of the things I noticed when I was a VC and also a business angel, because I've been sitting on the table on both sides, and I jumped back to the other side. And one thing I noticed is that really technology has improved so many things in so many areas, like in healthcare, insurance, banking, you know, many things. But unfortunately, I think something is really behind, and that's where we are focused on, is that building a business is as hard today for any individual as it was 40 years ago. It's
Where do you see the gaps, Joe? Where do you see the gaps in fintech and what's happening right now as opposed to, even 5 years ago?
so the problem in essence is that most people just want to kick off a traditional business. 99% that's the case. They're not in innovation. And the other problem is they don't have experience, so they need to build up that experience. Typically, it can go up to 5 years, which is a very long time. And then on top of that, they don't have available cash to build it up and hold on a long time to build up that business. So eventually they close down. And the statistics don't lie. It's something that happens in every country in the world, including the US. And I'm just giving you the low bottom number. I know it's much higher. Like 75% basically closes down immediately between 6 and 9 months. And if you look at the remaining, which survives, like 0.5% survives, it's up to 5 years. It's a very, very long roadmap. Now, the industry, which is basically what they need is equity, has not been able to close that gap. So from all the demand, only 1% is covered. And that 1% essentially goes to innovation most of the time. So it's easy to understand that 99% falls off, and that 1% that goes to innovation picks out 3% from all the innovation offer and eventually is going to fund 1%. So we are talking about 0.0003% that eventually gets funded. So the way I look at it, if you go to a doctor and the doctor says, well, your survival rate is 0.0003%, what do you think? Right? So the solution essentially for all the you're talking about micro companies, one-man show, small companies up to 10 employees, is in a very different corner. Now, they're not able to get to the cash. They need to gain the experience. So the solution is essentially in fintech, but what we say converging technologies. Mm-hmm. And those converging technologies will need to give an ecosystem, more or less it's like a lifestyle. And that's why we focus essentially on millennials, because this new generation that's already here, which is basically taking over from the X generation.
Do you think that's the driving force right now in mobile and fintech, the millennials and Gen Zs?
Definitely. If you look at their buying power individually, then baby boomers are much more wealthy. That's for sure.
Yeah, but that's going to drop off over time. So, because right now the millennials and Gen Zs, they equate for about 50% of the population globally.
Correct. And they account for more or less 70% today of all consumption, and it's growing. Okay, yeah. So that means that in volume, right, they are much, much bigger than any other generation right now. Mm-hmm. Individually, they are less wealthy, because unfortunately they have not got the same conditions that the previous generations had. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is the essence, the main problem. So if they would be able to get the needed equity, okay, this would be solved. But that equity is not available for them. So we developed an ecosystem. Basically, it's like a super app. It converges all they need with AI inside, that essentially they don't need to learn all that stuff that is needed to build up a business.
So break that down with Bizmoni. What just break it down so people can understand, because what is happening on the back end is one thing. The user interface, that's something else, because that's what people are interested in. Because a lot of times sometimes people go on an application, a fintech application, it's a little confusing. So that ease of use is important. So what is it that you guys plan on doing that's going to make it easier for users to utilize first, and what is going to be the value for them by utilizing your system?
Well, in essence, this is more or less how it works, and this is what we're aiming to do. So first of all, you have this super app that converges an environment, which is more or less a lifestyle. That means that you can build up a business or starting in 5 minutes without any cash almost. That's point number one. And what it gives you is a social environment, a business social environment that you can learn from like-minded people or like-minded business developers or people that want to get into this traction. At the same time, everybody that gets on this ecosystem is also a consumer. So what happens in this lifestyle is that you basically have two roles. You are a consumer, and at the same time, you are a supplier of the system itself. It's a real social, let's say, business environment. So you have this social business environment. You get into a marketplace, which is a new type of marketplace. It's not a shop. Okay, it's basically provided by AI, and that AI targets you based on the experience it has with you and some ingredients that you can give to it and manipulate it.
So you're incorporating machine learning into the system so they can learn the patterns of the consumer, and you have a marketplace where you're not just banking, you have the ability to interact with merchants and get deals and build an ecosystem that can be advantageous to them.
Yes. The way you build this network up, because that's what happens when you start a business, is the people that buy from you and the people that you buy from. Okay? So you have instant access to them with a messenger system. So basically more similar, look at it like an embedded messenger that you know, which is quite common, like WhatsApp or similar. Okay? So that's also embedded into the whole setup. Now, in one click, you jump from your social network into your marketplace. Okay, this marketplace is very interactive. It's basically more or less a search engine, but it targets you as well. And in one click, you are in this messenger. You are interacting with all these guys that you are connected to. And at the same time, in one click, you are in your bank. So it's very, very fast. Everything we do is based on speed. So we have taken out all the bureaucracy, everything which is not important to build up your business. So that you have a huge amount of time and you are super efficient, and your operational costs can basically go down.
I'm going to pause you for a second because I want people to understand, the viewers and listeners to understand. Now, this is a multifaceted platform that you're building in Bizmoni. So for a small business, let's break it down. For a small business, how does this benefit them?
Well, first of all, being inside this ecosystem, okay, you don't need to engage with a lot of services that you do today, and your efficiency is so high that you will never be able to do it manually, not even with an X amount of stuff. That's point number one. This basically means that your operational cost can go down up like 70%, and due to
that's big.
Yes, it's huge, and due to that operational cost going down. And that's where we want to get them, because that's how they're going to finance their business, building it up. We give them a lot of free cash flows, because in essence, business management is managing your free cash flows. That's how you make profits, and that's how you reinvest to build that business. So what we do is we make it in a way that you get more free cash flows in your pocket, and that all the services that you get from us are basically paid in a very, very tiny, small percentage on a performance basis. There's nothing you pay up front. Okay, we are talking about 0.5%. Now, not even a credit card is that cheap today.
Right. Yeah, credit cards are anywhere from 2 to 3, maybe sometimes 3.5%, depending, with the transactional fees that they charge. That's why they're growing by leaps and bounds. So for a small business, they have the ability to work with. They'll have the ability to work with Bizmoni and go and reduce their operational costs, because you guys will have an all-in-one package for them to manage, to micromanage their accounting and things of that nature, right? So they don't have to bother with that. If they wanted to go that route, but they don't have to bother with that.
Yeah, the accounting is done automatically for you. Okay, so those ledgers, everything, whatever you do in the system, those ledgers are done for you. So you don't need to bother with that. You get a lot of instant things like instant social network, instant marketplace, instant banking, instant business management, which is typically your order processing, your invoicing, your accounting. okay, and your let's call it items management, where you can put your services or your products, right?
Right.
75%, which is a report that came out from McKinsey last year, 75% or more of business activity today is lost in bureaucratic maintenance. It's not
Like
in
anything
build.
else, is that extra fluff that's going to. It's like when you invest in when you go and make a donation into a nonprofit, you give them $100, and $60-$70 is being used for their payroll and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are knocking that out, it just becomes very interesting for a small business, and right now that's the way that's the benefit for the small business. They save money. They have tools in front of them. Makes it easier for them to run their business. They can reduce their operational costs. And how are you mitigating their risk?
Well, that's a very interesting and very good question. I really love that one. So look at it like this. Once you are in this ecosystem, everybody is rated, right? The way you interact with the system itself, you are rated. If you buy something from somebody else, you are rated. If you sell something, you are rated. So what happens is the amount of data that is released in the whole setup is such fashion that first we can, like nobody else, I can even tell you that no bank today can have a risk assessment on loans as we have. There is no way, because they cannot check the systemic damage which is going to happen somewhere on that roadmap from somebody who is connected with somebody who is connected to them, right? Now, since you are all in this system, what we can see is if there is somebody that is going bad, that basically will reflect on your business itself, and we will alert you for that. So the risk is that you let these machines work for you for 24 hours, 7 days a week.
So if there's a bad act or someone that doesn't, pay the merchants, and they don't do that, and they're looking to do something, you'll get alerted. And as a small business owner or a merchant or whatever the case may be, they have the option to do business with them or not, but they'll be alerted that there's a risk factor there. And you're going to have levels of risk: low, medium, high, watch out, call your mother because something bad's going to happen, that type of thing.
Correct. And also in today on digital business online, you have a huge amount of scams going on,
Sure.
right? Goods that are not delivered, promises they're not fulfilled. In our setup, client is king. Okay, and there is no way that anybody is going to pay anything before the goods arrive at your door. Now, what you're going to ask me probably right now is, how are you going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a risk from the supplier that's selling the goods, not getting the cash. Well, that will never happen. Right? And why will it not happen? Because all the players in this ecosystem, they all have a bank account with us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So what happens is that when somebody buys something, what we do is we just block the cash into your account. It's never taken from you. But you also have not access to that cash to spend it on anything else. Okay?
So you're mitigating the risk for the supplier or the merchant, and you're basically saying, hey, they're not going to give you the money now, but it's blocked in their account for the transaction. So when they get to merchandise, and once they get it within a few days, if everything's fine, then the money's released to the merchant. So
Correct.
the merchant sees this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So what happens is that it's very convenient for consumers because you're not paying at the door anymore. Mm-hmm. There's no cash going on. There's no swipe of any card. Right? You have the package, you look into the package. If it's not in order, you take a picture, upload it, ask for a recall. It's sent back and it's done. And, once the merchant receives his package back, your money is released automatically.
As opposed to Amazon, where they'll charge you when it ships out, and then you have to go get a refund and all this stuff. So basically, you're pretty much you're reducing you're kind of reducing the potential for refunds because the money's just locked in their account. If something's wrong with the product, the merchant didn't do the right thing, so that's bad on them. But the consumer, because you said client is king, right? That's your tagline, client is king. I like that. So basically, the consumer is in control. They're in control, and
Correct.
they feel like they're in control. They don't feel like the merchant's in control, where you have a bad transaction, then you have to go and fight them for something, and then you have
Correct.
to go and go on all these platforms and talk bad about them, and then you got to fight to get your money back with the credit card company. You have to wait like
Correct.
40 days to get your money back.
Correct. That's not the case. So we do everything related to speed and secure. Even if the goods disappear along that road, okay, we have insurance to cover that. So it means that all parties are always covered somehow.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Now,
That's a positive thing, because you're providing the service for the small business. You're providing, putting the consumer in charge. You're also letting the small business or the supplier know that, hey, you can sell your products here. However, you will get paid just like if you were doing a B2B, where you're going to give terms, and the terms will be 3 days, 4 days, whatever it's going to be from shipping to getting to them, for them to approve it. Now, in that instance, who's paying for the shipping? The merchant, or is that the customer?
So the merchant is paying for the shipment.
Mm-hmm.
He has an insurance, so if the goods get back, that insurance will cover the shipment itself.
Okay.
Okay. At the end, what we want to basically achieve is that the consumer, right, needs to be treated well at all times.
Right.
So if he has a bad performance somewhere, we will know that very fast, and he gets rated, and eventually no merchant will like to supply him. That's basically it.
And then you get blackballed on the platform, and that doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's move forward. The supplier, the benefit for the supplier now.
Well, for the supplier is that he is going to deal with like-minded people. He has direct access to his clients, and he knows that whenever his clients want something, doesn't matter what it is, if it's in his range, he immediately gets a notice that that client wants something. So he doesn't need to go and trace that client to sell constantly.
So on what you're gonna have on Bizmoni is that, let's say I'm a customer and I buy something from a supplier. So basically, I am a customer of the supplier, not a customer of Bizmoni. Even though you are a customer of Bizmoni, but the supplier knows, and they're connected with me. So they can connect with me, they can send me stuff and all this other stuff, as opposed to other ecosystems where they are the in between, and you may deal with the supplier and know who they are, but you're never in direct communication with them. On your system, you're in direct communication.
Correct.
Okay.
They have the messaging, and they can talk. They can even do video. That is all stored. Okay. And all these documents, the transactions.
Maybe they can do Vero. That can be good.
Maybe that would be a good option.
There you go.
And whatever they do, right, whatever they buy or sell. Now, remember that this ecosystem, it's a lifestyle. That means that you, besides being a consumer, can build up your business inside this. Okay. You can become an intermediary. You can become a supplier of the system. If you are in production, you can put your services inside. You are also a consumer at the same time. So it's a new style of market economy. Okay, we call it social market economy. Okay. Yeah.
And where are you right now in the formation of the platform, and how far are you from the official launch?
So it was quite hard to come up with this solution, because, as you can imagine, in 40 years, nobody came up with anything so far. And
they don't want to, because that kind of goes against what the brick and mortar banks want, and what municipalities, what governments want. They want the money. That's transactional. Those little crumbs that sprinkle around, they want all that, and they're pretty big crumbs, actually.
So we basically wanted to look at the real problem, and the real problem was that we have 43 million startups kicking off every year. And 38 million closed down immediately in that first year. It's a huge amount of number. People don't even imagine how much volume this is, but I can tell you this is in the trillions of dollars. It's somewhere between $4 and $6 trillion that is lost every year, and nobody is tackling the whole issue. Okay, because it's also very convenient just to sell something, a product or a service to anybody that they want to use. These startups, which are the most needed, they're literally being squeezed out with a whole environment around them that forces them to pay for everything instead of helping them to build up their business.
So you're help with Bizmoni, you're looking to bridge that gap so that it can give them more of the income that they have. They can reduce their overhead by what'd you say, by 60-70% of their operating costs, so they can reduce that, and they can put that money back into their business, to growing their business and continue to grow, and that's important. Okay, so right now, as far as timing goes, when do you see Bizmoney launching?
Okay, so
Officially launching.
Well, we basically finished everything. The hardest part was getting to the regulation. So that took us quite a long time, and also absorbed quite some money to get through that. We expect that, based on the status that we have now, is that more or less in about 9 to 12 months, okay, we are completely launched on the market.
Okay.
So we have some tests to be doing. What we are doing right now is onboarding people in what we call the beta version. So if anybody wants to take part in the beta version, they need to pre-onboard. So they can do that right now. And if they onboard, they get some premium facilities from us in the application itself, lifetime. And they will take part in the testing round, which will take more or less like 3 months before we go live, let's say, global-wise.
Okay.
So that's the roadmap.
Okay, so they get involved now. That you onboard them, they'll get some free premium items, and that's for them testing the system, working with it. All right, and now you figure sometime in 2021 you'll be up and out, and right now you're just in that beta mode and onboarding and knocking out the tweaks and getting everything done and getting the suppliers lined up. So that's a positive thing. So now let's talk about two things before we end the show. First, fundraising wise, are you doing a capital raise for Bizmoney at this point?
Well, it's good that you pointed that out. We're going to start with a new round. So far, basically, we have financed everything with our own cash along this roadmap. As mentioned before, most of us, we are serial entrepreneurs. We have quite some knowledge, and we had the available money to kick it off. And now we come to a point that we say, okay, so we want to open the doors. So we're going to start with this A round, which is basically this listing is going to take off in about 2 weeks from now. And that will be running like more or less like 3 months, and then we close it down, and then we will stop. We don't expect to be raising much more rounds after that. The main reason is, and this is, I'm saying this with a smile, because look at this, with 0.5% that we charge, okay, which is nothing compared to what everything and everybody else charges today.
Right.
We have an EBITDA, okay, of 85%.
So your margins are very high because you reduce your operating costs, which trickles down to whoever's on your platform.
Correct. So, and we have the same principle that we preach to our customers, and the way we want to help them is get your free cash flows working for you.
Okay, good. And then when this next round, when you do it, you're not going to go for another round because you'll be cash flow positive and things will be rolling, so you won't have to bring anyone else in. But are you guys looking at some point after that? I know it's not going to be immediate, but do you have in the horizon and the plans of going public in some fashion? Maybe doing an IPO, maybe doing a reverse merger, maybe entertaining a SPAC. Are you looking at that stuff?
Yes, we will be looking to an IPO probably 5 years from the point that we launch the beta version, because that's the plan that we have, and then we will open it to the public. That's the plan. Okay,
good. Joe, a lot of great information. I think that our listeners and viewers got a little lesson today from you, and I appreciate it. Why don't you let them know how to find out more about it, how to find out more about you? give him your details so that if they are interested in Bizmoni, someone can reach out. Go right ahead.
Well, you can find me essentially on LinkedIn. That's the environment that I use most, which is more business related. So just search for Jose Graca. If for some reason you don't find me, then just go to Bizmoney, put in Bizmoney, and definitely you will find me. We are on the company page. I'm there as well. And that's the best way how to find me. I just wanted to leave one short message. I think this is a very interesting one. So what
about the website? Do you have a website?
Yes, the website is bizmoney.com.
Okay.
So you can go there as well. So the message basically that I would like to leave is like this. You can look at Bizmoney, right? And you can see nothing. But you can look at Bizmoney in a different way, and you can see the future.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would like to leave.
Okay.
That's the message. Just look at Bizmoney as a opportunity that is given to you to really help you out. And that's what we are trying to do here.
And that's what consumers, that's what suppliers, and that's what anyone that's interested in investing and dealing with Bizmoney, that's what you have to look at. And I call Jose Graca, I call him Joe because I like him. He's a good guy. He has he's a wealth of knowledge, and bringing him on the show allowed us to share that with everyone. So Joe, I appreciate it. And he's in Europe. He's in Europe. He's dealing with all stuff in Europe, and I'm not. So, but we're crossing the waters, and this is global. Money Never Sleeps is global, and we're doing a lot of great things. But Joe, thank you for your time, and for you listeners, viewers, just check out Bizmoney, find out more about Jose Graca, and find out what's going on there. And we're going to be back with you for the next episode of Money Never Sleeps. Keep in mind, you can find us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Player FM, on YouTube now with the videos. We have a lot of stuff going on, and definitely you can find us on VeroHive.com. This is where we broadcast live. And thank you, Joe, and thank you for everyone for tuning in, listening. I appreciate you, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Louis. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Initiating shutdown sequence.
You're listening to UCW Radio in your face.
What is your major malfunction?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.
All opinions expressed by Luis Velazquez on the Money Never Sleeps radio show and its website are solely his opinions and do not reflect the opinions of the UCW radio show or their parent company or affiliates, and may have been previously disseminated by him on television, radio, internet, or another medium. You should not treat any opinion expressed by him as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of his opinion. His opinions are based upon information he considers to be reliable, but neither the UCW radio show nor its affiliates, parent companies, and or subsidiaries warrant its completeness or accuracy, and it should not be relied upon as such. The UCW radio show, Luis Velazquez, its affiliates, parent companies, and or subsidiaries are not under any obligation to update or correct any information provided on the radio show or on the website. His statements and opinions are subject to change without notice. No part of his compensation from the UCW radio show is related to the specific opinions he expresses. Please read the full disclaimer on MoneyNeverSleepsRadio.com.